Being 5:15, I'd like to call the Economic Development Committee meeting for September to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Okay, roll call has been taken.
Yes.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
The motion to adopt the agenda was made by April and seconded by John. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. There's a little delay there.
I need to slow down a little bit. Sorry about that. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the August 26th meeting minutes as presented in the packet.
Move to approve the minutes. Second.
Motion has been made by John and seconded by Colton. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Looking for any public comments? Public comment? Public comment. Hearing none, we will move on to the update and discuss a request from Der Wolfden Garden on the proposed beer garden.
Do you have a plug-in for her?
What's that?
Do you have a plug-in for her?
Oh, do you have a presentation?
Do you have one or otherwise?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that's what you meant.
Oh,
No worries. Yep, my computer's the one that never works.
as soon as Kim is set up, we will let her go ahead.
All right. Thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity to be on the agenda today. I want to address the elephant in the room about Der Wolf Garden. Obviously the site we've all seen has not had a groundbreaking or anything added onto the property. However, I do want to let you know that we are still actively invested in this project, and we are very interested in entertaining this project and making it come to fruition. The last time I was in front of you guys, we had some family real life drama or some family things to work through and just some obstacles there. Life still continued to give me a little bit of obstacles, this time in a much more positive way, to be able to kind of propel all of my projects and all of the businesses forward. When I was awarded the 40 under 40 this spring, it really ramped up our appeal to not only the local community. We also started getting a lot more inquiries for Events Everlasting and Der Wolf Garden and interest from surrounding communities. So I've been very active in doing a lot of PR, a lot of more events. We've been going to a lot more places. We've picked up a lot more contracts, and we've just been really, really busy with that. With that, it's kind of made me reflect a little bit, wanted to work on the project, and then realized how big this project really became. We were talking about adding a restaurant into it, being able to have food for lunches and dinners, and really just do everything all at once. What it actually made me realize is that we needed to go back to making this a community project. We wanted this to be something where it was working with both the city and us as private investors, to be able to make that whole area come together to be developed. What I'm showing here on the screen, the video is actually from us in St. Augustine at a beer garden that we were at, which really propelled us into, we needed to go back to that root of creating a community space. The larger building was feeling more corporate, more restaurant, more bar than it was feeling beer garden. We really wanted to be able to see people collaborate and come together in a community space. And it seems like everything came together at that timing for a reason. Just a couple weeks ago, I know that Ginger and the city and a couple other business owners in that area got together and we're working with, and I wasn't able to make it unfortunately, but they were able to work together to work with the landscaper to be able to come up with some design concepts for that area. And from what I've heard from that meeting, from the people that were there, is that it's absolutely gorgeous. And more of what we're showing here today flows with that a little bit better than what we were originally looking at. So we really just want to be able to work together and be able to create that space in correlation with what the city is looking to do as well. So yeah, I really appreciate the last time being able to get an extension. Of course, we're looking at having to push this out again into a longer extension, just to be able to give maybe more of a realistic idea. We are looking at, I'm gonna say 2 years, because we know that I've asked for the 6 months extension and we asked for this timeline, and I definitely put the horse before the cart metaphorically here, and I want to really be able to give this some time. We are hoping, we met with, we've been meeting with different contractors and still working with Strongwood and then different places that way, to be able to see what we can work out in the smaller capacity and be able to grow into what the community actually needs, rather than just putting a giant building there and see if maybe it's responsive to the community. So I'm open to any questions. Definitely interested to hear what anyone has to say, and just be able to really keep the lines of communication open with everyone.
Okay, are there any questions for Kim? I think that Chad has some insights as well.
Sure. So Kim touched a little bit about the Spark program that we partnered with and received some program grant money through the East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. Several people that were in the room were present for that program and that one-day workshop. And I'll be one right off the bat. I would love to see this Kim's project come to fruition next year and be sitting on the river and listen to bands and things like that. But reflecting back on the project that we went through with East Central and just the brainstorming of what's potential at that site and ones that were there can pipe in a little bit, that really kind of opened up my eyes to see what the potential is for that entire area and how important it might be to plan together instead of, you know, Kim just plopped something in there and then we got to plan around that. There's so much opportunity, and we've heard so many times we want to take advantage of the river. How can we tie into the river more? How can we, you know, get our businesses to tie in the river? And I didn't envision that until we went through this program and had these landscape architects give us some ideas and show some really preliminary designs that we expect to bring back hopefully at next month's meeting, what those designs are. But there is something to be said, I think, at this point to consider doing these projects together, since they're right with each other, and coordinate how the planning aspects of it. How's the parking going to be? How's the traffic flow? How is this all going to work? How can we tie this into the river, the access to the river a little bit more? So I think there is something to be said about working these things in tandem together and make the project flow a little bit better instead of just trying to jam in one and then plan the other one around it. So just kind of throw those 2 cents out there.
And I just want to piggyback on that because I was at that workshop and I did ask for 2 of their renderings for tonight's meeting, because I wanted to do a preview, even though that's Ginger's, and I did invite Ginger to come. We don't have them yet. I wish I had taken pictures of them. Because one of them, I had to stop and say, wait a minute, where am I looking at? Because it was such a dramatic change from what I see every single day in that area. And I was really excited about it. And one of the things that they did was they kind of encroached on the beer garden property in one of their renderings. They were quite excited about that. And as a result, I do think that they gave us some good ideas for that flow and all of that. And I agree with Chad. I think we need to work together a little bit more in the planning and in the development of that area, especially if you could have seen the pocket park that they put together down there. And we will be seeing those renderings. Ginger will get them and we will be seeing them moving forward. But yeah, I think we gotta breathe a little bit. And then of course, not to, we did find out that there's grants available that we're applying for those specific areas for what they named the Pearl Pocket Park, the space in between the two businesses down there, and then the Berniger Walkway. There are grants available for places that are shovel ready. So if we can work together and do all the things, and they talked about the parking and the ways to block the areas off. And
The parking was a pretty cool idea.
it was a really cool idea. So I'm excited for the opportunity to bring those renderings back to the meeting for everybody to see them. But yeah, that meeting made it make sense that we all need to breathe and work together.
I would agree. I think we have this huge opportunity that we can capitalize on with placemaking, and I think it's so crucial that we work together, brainstorm together, and don't put the cart before the horse.
Right.
Like you said, because I thought the same thing. If Kim starts building there and we want to do all these different things,
And we might not be able to.
We're going to be working around that.
It's
So.
gonna feel more like patchwork rather than our original concept and the original reason of doing the project was to bring the city and the business together type of thing.
Yeah, I feel like we're just taking a step back to the original reason that this was even brought forward.
Chad, could you please give us a quick refresher of what the agreement was? What the current status is?
Correct. I don't have it in front of me, but in a nutshell, we originally had timelines set up for project. There was expectations of value that was going to be added onto the property. We deeded the property to Kim in Deerwolf Garden for the project. So in consideration of that, we expected value to be added to the property. Now this changes things a little bit. So in reconsideration, the timeline that Kim asked, we would have to review. And then also, I think there's going to have to be a little bit more conversation, what type of structure is going to be there, and that if the structure is going to be different, if the value is going to be different, we need to consider that in this whole process about if we extend the agreement. Does that make sense?
It does.
Do you intend on having a business there in the 2-year extension? Or do you plan on progressing towards something?
I do, yes. So I hope this doesn't seem empty, especially since I've been here a couple of times with different timelines. We are hoping by next fall to have something there, whether just to be able to serve drinks, to be able to all the beer, the wine, the mocktails, be able to have food trucks, be able to have outdoor seating. So whether it's a simple pavilion type of thing that we have that's seasonal just to get something there, or if it's something a little bit more that has the garage doors and maybe a smaller building. So something will be there. This project can't continue to linger. I mean, there's a lot of other things at play, and we've been investing quite a bit of money into this project, down payments and stuff like that to contractors. So we are heavily invested already. So it is something that we need to make happen. It's on our goals, our agenda to make it happen.
So you intend to progress on the property and not sit stalemate, so you do have a goal and a vision and it's in a working operation. So.
We do, yes. So next fall for sure, having something there, like in this video, we see there's some little sheds and stuff like that. Not that that's my ideal vision, but at least if we get something there and people excited, and then be able to continue and grow the property, that would be the bare minimum goal. But the overall goal, again, ideally I can dream big and I can say whatever, but a little bit more realistic would be putting something a little bit bigger of a building. We've been talking about like a 30 by 40 type building or a 20 by 30 building that would be able to have a little bit of indoor area, garage doors that would open, and then still be able to have a slightly covered area, and then be able to have fully outdoor area. Again, it's even something that next year, I'm very gung-ho that if we need to put up porta potties, we're moving the farmer's market down there. So at least something's down there. Being able to have some festivals, be able to have something down there, whether we need to put power banks or whatever problem solving we need to do, be able to have a couple concerts, be able to put up a couple of the igloos. Like it just has to start happening.
I like your idea of building into that space and problem solving and working with the city, like you expressed before about the pocket park and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Really, truly building into the space. I can support that idea as well.
Thank you.
So to Hans' points moving forward, and that one thing I did leave out that I believe the current version of the agreement states that substantial construction was going to start by the end of this year. If that doesn't occur in the current agreement, the expectation was that the property was going to be deeded back to the city. So number one, I think for consideration, this committee needs to decide whether A, do you agree with the vision to adjust the agreement to move forward with the new parameters that Tim talked about? If not, then the motion would be to continue on path, and then Kim would have to deed that back to the city because she did not fulfill substantial construction. Or I think at this point, maybe the other motion would be direct the city administrator to renegotiate the agreement, number one, with the terms of the timeline, number two, with the consideration of the value, because we gave the property to Kim with the understanding that this value was going to be placed on the building. So we would have to look at what your expectations are coming forward for the value of that, and then bring that back to this committee probably next month for consideration. It would have to be done before the end of this year if an extension would be approved. But I guess at this point in time, I'm not ready to send something to the council because I think there's some little details, but more so, do you guys agree with moving forward with the adjustment and you renegotiating that, or saying, nope, we're going to go a different path and we would like the property back?
I personally like the idea of an adjustment because I think we touched on it a couple times. Is there's something to be said for continuity, and maybe if there's some collaboration, because at least there would be some some dialogue to maybe have some consistency in the look and the feel of the buildings and the structures, and maybe the surrounding that could tie into it. We have a fair amount of diversity now, and it might be nice to have some continuity.
I agree with Bill. I mean, I don't see a problem renegotiating terms with Kim. I'm curious. I can't wait to see the results of the Spark program. I do think we got to keep in mind that public property that would be part of these designs. And I'm sorry I didn't get to that Spark program presentation, but we also have to keep in mind the other property owners around there too, that we can't just favor one property owner and let them sprawl out into property that, you know, everyone should be at the table on this planning, so not that we're trying to run a private business, but there's definitely gonna be some kind of partnership there, sounds like.
Well, and we did talk about reaching out to the business owners of the two buildings and bringing them into, especially the pocket park design area. But that's not the economic development's purview, really. That's more Park and Rec dealing with the pocket park area. Sorry about that. But it is also, placemaking is also part of economic development. And we, depending on how those conversations go with those other business owners as well, as to what that area would look like, because it would impact them as well, positively, if, in my opinion, when you see when you guys see the renderings and the ideas that they gave us for moving forward and what the city could do in that area. Yeah, we did talk about reaching out to those other business owners as well.
Do we know what Ginger's timeline is?
The hope was that it would be at the next Park and Rec meeting, but there has been a wonderful development with the main leader of that Spark program. He became a father, so things are a little bit, he's on paternity leave at the moment, and so we're not quite sure when that's going to get out.
So just to kind of lead into, I was going to talk about this, I think my director's or city administrator's report, but we do anticipate to have the renderings back that they brought up and created at that program. So what happened was we had one day workshop. They spent all afternoon just writing on paper, giving ideas, stuff like that. They presented us what they had. They wanted to take it back to their office to clean it up and make it look even prettier than what it was at that meeting. So we anticipate to have that back for next month. We'll present that. I think that'll kind of be a great transition. I think we start with that, and then maybe talk about the if you guys want to renegotiate with Kim, we can put that right after that conversation. But to Hans's point, what the next steps are. I think with the East Central and the Spark program, that was a great idea creation workshop. There's going to have to be additional landscape engineering to fulfill all that, to see, and we're going to have to go through a process. There's probably going to have to be more public participation. It's not going to be like they're going to have a design, we're running with that. That's not the case.
No.
That was strictly ideas, really cool ideas to build off of, but it was just kind of idea building to get a process going. So the next steps would be is to hire, either the same company, we could do that, or a different landscape firm to really refine that. Because any project that we do, more than likely we're gonna have to bid it out. So we're gonna have to put bid specs together with construction documents and things like that. So there's gonna be more work, but I think that's just a great start of a vision where what we could do with that site and that property and create a public-private partnership situation.
Yeah.
Well, the people at that program were really enthused about something being in that area. We're at the workshop. All those people really thought that was a great idea, whatever goes in there. So we'll see.
Would it affect the TIF? I mean, obviously you were looking at a pretty fancy building and the taxable income on some pole sheds with pop-up doors and some rustic barn boards, there's not a lot of taxable. So how do you put a value on, do you start looking at it as like, how do you put a taxable value on the properties that based on the whole food truck thing? I mean, what do you do? Percentage of sales, or how do you put a taxable value on it? Like storage units or whatever.
So the original design that Kim gave, I gave to our assessor, and he came up with a general concept of what the tax value would be, and that's what we based off giving the property, knowing that would be the value and the taxable value. Now, it is in the TID district, so whatever value is placed on there is captured by the TID until the TID closes, as you guys remember how the TID works. The TID in the downtown is positive right now. We're doing really well. We've got some, we're on a good financial path with our TID district in the downtown, so that's a good thing. So not having this development come to fruition right away is not gonna hurt the TID district per se. But I think Kim and I would have to sit down and have additional conversations about what's the new vision, for structure. And then kind of go from there, get Adam involved, our assessor again, kind of see, okay, if it's looking like this now, what would that value be? And get that information from him.
So I guess if we're looking to move forward with granting an extension, then we would need a motion or a direction. We would need a direction to city staff to look at renegotiating an agreement, an amendment, another amendment to the agreement to bring back to this committee for review and approval or denial at that time. And I don't believe we need a motion for that. We just need a consensus.
I would make a motion directly.
Make a motion?
Yep, then it's official, then you
Okay.
can do that or not. So hypothetically, directing the city administrator to renegotiate or create an amendment with the developer on the project based on conversation we just had tonight.
I'll make a motion to renegotiate the terms with Kim Kronos. For authorize the administrator to renegotiate the terms with the developer, including an extension of timeline for an agreement to be brought back at a future economic development meeting.
We have a motion from John to have the city administrator renegotiate the.
I'll second.
Second by Bill.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing no further discussion. All those in favor of renegotiation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no opposition, we will move forward with renegotiating.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. Okay, moving forward, discussion of the city's next Highway 45 billboard message.
All right, this came out of last month's meeting to talk. I think I was hoping Tim was going to be here. I forgot he was away. So just to have a general conversation about the next message or the next advertisement for the Highway 15 billboard that the city owns. I had some conversations with Lamar to get some information of what the cost would be. First of all, they said the cost to wrap the billboard with a new message would be the same cost as last time. It was $7,000 total for both sides. City funded half of that. The tourism funded the other half. So it'd be about $3,500 for the city's cost to change out the sign with a new wrap. And they made the recommendation. We can use them. I talked to our video marketing producer. She's got some other projects going on, and at this point in time, she preferred to maybe let Lamar do the design for this one. And then when I talked to Lamar, they said there's no additional cost for them to do the design for this billboard. So I started that conversation with them. But their initial recommendations were to do something simple. And to the fact that when people are driving by, they don't have a lot of time to read this long, drawn out message. There's not a ton of things you can do on there. So a very simple message and a simple picture. So we talked about last month about trying to advertise for the the Northeast New London Business Center. That's the official terminology for the business park. But maybe a simple message and then some type of picture showing development. So I just took an opportunity to kind of start brainstorming about what's some quick messages that we could think of about putting on that sign. So this is just a start of that. So, you know, if anybody has an idea about what the message would be, by all means pipe in, but just to kind of get the juices flowing. Some ideas were New London is open for business, take the right route for growth in New London's Northeast Business Center. New London, where your business has room to grow. New London, build your business future here. New London's Northeast Business Center, your foundation for success. New London, centrally located and perfectly positioned for your business to thrive. New London, your central hub for growth and opportunity. And then New London, easy access and endless possibilities for your business to grow. Again, just some quick ideas thrown down on paper to get the juices flowing. But the first step would be to kind of come up with that message and then get the picture and try to advertise for our Northeast Business Center.
I think the less words, the better. I go past the 45 billboard, and even though I was part of approving it, I still look at it, and that picture with her leg, she's kind of bent over with a shovel, and every time I look at it, I don't know, I just think that it needs to be very, very simple. The picture needs to be very, very simple, and the words need to be very short and concise.
Yep.
What about utilizing our new city slogan?
I thought about that too, but to me that didn't scream Industrial Park Business Center, where the wolf flows, community grows. We can do that, but that seemed more like community to me than a tagline for a billboard for our industrial park. I mean, we can run with that, but it didn't scream
Right,
business
no.
industrial center for me.
I could
And-
use that on the tourism side,
Yes, that you can do.
so I was gonna do something with Silent Sports again.
Yeah, I mean, it just, because I think I think our new slogan kind of, community grows, I mean, business grows, but yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to utilize that as well and make it a broader statement.
Yep.
And maybe the picture would be the opportunity to do that. I don't know. But yeah, I think that putting in Northeast Business Center is a lot there. It's just a lot to read, and it's a lot of, and if I were reading that on a billboard, I would be like, goodbye.
Mhm.
Just, it's,
A lot of people aren't even gonna know what that is. I think if they're
Right.
interested in building here, they're gonna reach out and see what the opportunities are.
Mhm.
Like, build your future business here. Find out opportunities when you call.
yeah,
I was gonna say, what, if we're targeting the business park out there to sell the land, why are we trying to think about it so hard? Why don't we dumb it down and, land for sale and have that picture of an aerial picture of what it is?
We got one of the brightest utility managers in the Midwest. And I'd like to tap Jay's mind on this, because it could be, unlimited water, unlimited supply of water, 250 kV on demand,
Mhm.
whatever, or whatever those terms. He has a different way of thinking about that park than we do, as far as what kind of real capacity. We don't even really understand what a jewel we have right there. Business, big companies that manufacture heavy stuff, they understand those kind of terms, that Jay could offer us a few suggestions for some short one-liner. Here's gonna attract somebody looking to put up an industry. I don't know, we can't say shovel ready. A long time ago, we had cut the red tape, which I thought that was pretty clever, because New London was easier to work with than a lot of places as far as the red tape. We still are. But yeah, I think we gotta think about that. Definitely, I'm with Belinda on Northeast Business Center, and I'm lost already in that.
Mhm.
That's coming from a person who is habitually a wordy writer. I use too many words. So,
And maybe just the, you know, maybe just the New London is open for business. Or, just have it say open for business and then have the photo. And somehow making sure that it depicts that people recognize it as being New London. Yeah, I agree. Fewer words, just a big broad statement, open for business. And maybe it's just a picture of the map of the state with an arrow to New London.
Everybody's homework for next month.
Yeah.
robust infrastructure in place.
I like your idea though, to reach outside,
Yeah.
talk to Mr. Bassett, see what he has to say. I think that's a great idea as well.
Mhm. Are open to grow your business. And then whatever Jay's insights would be that we don't even think about.
And like you said, it's tough because you want to keep it very short,
Mhm.
so what's the message?
Mhm.
Utility? Is it the land? Is it you get one little piece of this. We
Yeah,
can't,
then you have seconds to catch their attention.
what's that?
You just have seconds to catch their attention.
I'll bring this back up here though.
You could always do like New London open for business and then just show a photo of like a ribbon cutting or like just like paper signing, just something easy.
But I think, what Tim was kind of targeting is we got this billboard, we really want to do the industrial park. How do we, hypothetically, we just say we're open for business, does that scream business park to
Right.
me? That just says business,
Which is
what?
would be any
But do we
business.
really want to hit and focus on the industrial park right now?
Do we have any marketing out at the industrial park that says this land is for sale, open for business? Do we have anything out there?
Well, 10
How
years
about
ago, something as simple as business park or land available in business park, or great land available, or business park availability.
Land for sale.
There we
Business
go.
Opportunity. That's what I meant by dumb it down a little bit. We're trying to reinvent
Simplified.
the wheel, and
used to be a big buzzword, it's a shovel ready business park. 10 years ago, we paid a ton of money. And I mean, we paid a lot of money 10 years ago to have our engineer, when we had our own engineer, to get that park designated, one of the only in the Fox Valley at the time, as shovel ready park. I don't know what those buzzwords were then, but, or if that designation is still out there, but
Well, and
shovel ready is an idea.
maybe Lamar has some good catchphrases that they've heard over the years. I mean, they're the experts in this.
Yeah, and I think it's just a matter of what's, what is the short message, like Bill was saying, is it, whatever, or, is it the utility end of it? Is that what we want to market? What's the short message? And then once I give them that, we can use them to help refine it. But I just wanted to make sure that I'm on the right path for this committee in that, is it the industrial park specifically we want to target, first of all? I'm assuming that's the point right now,
think we
that
should.
everybody agrees with that. Based on conversations from last month and a little bit of conversation here, but so we could go round and round in this meeting with slogans and taglines, but I guess if the consensus is that this committee would really like to target the business park, I can work with Lamar and see something really small really quick, really short. We keep on refining that. And if you have any ideas, 2 o'clock in the morning, if you think of something, text me the next day, but
We'll call you.
I mean, shovel-ready industrial park, if that is what it is, that would be easily put up there.
if you guys like the shovel-ready theme, we'll just kind of go off of that. We'll start with that.
Is Katie putting some ideas together, or are you having Lamar?
Lamar.
is putting it
Katie
together?
and I talked, and she's got some other focuses she wants to work on right now. So
What's
with
the
Lamar,
time-
it's free. They're going to help us for free because
I apologize, I didn't read through your emails. What's the timeline that we're looking at having something ready for them?
we want to have this ready for when the ground's frozen.
Okay.
So I would say by next
Maybe we
month.
don't even need, maybe we don't need a fancy or a catchy picture, just big block letters. Our industrial park is ready, or our industrial park was ready for you.
Yeah.
I don't know that everybody knows what shovel ready and utilities and kilowatts and gallons and all that is. The park is ready for your business.
Plug in your profits.
Well, if you're okay with that, now that I've got reinforced direction, which way we're gonna go, I'll kind of work with Lamar and their art guy and see what we come up with, bring some ideas, but that the next month kind of plan on, yep, that's what we want to go, because they need lead time for production, and we want to be ready so that when the ground is ideal for us, we can get in there.
Kind of going off of what Bill said. I like the idea of it being a little more stark when we're talking about the industrial park, because it's ready to be built.
Mhm.
So going with that a little bit more, less picturesque, more of a blueprint looking. Kind of a, yeah.
I just know that in a lot of marketing, white space, they call it, is becoming bigger and bigger, less distractions.
Mhm.
What's your message? What's your point? Less to focus on, maybe not as much on pictures, or if you have pictures, then you have less words. But if we're trying to get a message, our industrial park's ready for you. Something simple, but
Less
I don't know.
busy, the better for the message.
Okay. Any more discussion on that to give direction to Chad? Okay. The 2026 Economic Development Budget Requests.
All right, so we are in budget season right now. The council individuals have seen some budgets come through their respective committees. Let's talk about the economic development budget. To remind everybody, we have an operation budget, economic development operation budget. We also have an economic development reserve budget. That reserve budget is a carryover budget that we tap into for our facade program. Many times we fund the reserve budget with leftover city funds, whether it's from the economic development operation budget or from other sources. If we have a positive year, the previous year, we'll designate some funding into and build up our reserve fund for additional programs. But specifically right now, the first thing I want to talk about is just the operation budget. Proposing to keep it the same for now as what we had last year. Our operation budget was about $49,880. Very modest compared to the entire city's $8 million, $9 million budget. But we had some money in there for advertising, so I've got some additional money in there again for advertising. The billboard, I got 4,000 in there. We'll be at 3,500, but I've just got 4,000 kind of designated for right now. We've designated some money for trainings and meetings. There's some money designated in there for land sales, acquisition expenses, mainly the industrial park, or any other situation where we might have city land where we're buying or selling, things like that. We need some funding for creating a CSM. We need some legal fees for certain things, or a title search. So we have this small $6,000 that we use for anytime we're selling land, and just need some money for those type of activities. We have 8,800 set up for membership and marketing co-op fees for the Wapaka County Economic Development Corporation. The co-op fees are about 3,000. The membership is about 5,800. So our membership to the Wapaka County Economic Development Corporation, I believe every municipality except the townships, so any city and village in Wapaka County and the county is a member of the Wapaka County Economic Development Corporation. We use that as collaboration for county-wide economic development focuses. They're working on marketing. The Placer AI program is something that we tap off of the corporation to use to figure out or capture that data for attendance for different events and things like that. And there's other things that I've reported on in the past, and that Jeff McCorsky has come and reported on in the past about what the Economic Development Corporation generally does. And then the separate is the marketing co-op fees, like I said, was for $3,000. All the municipalities throw in a little money into the bucket to help market the entire county for economic development, tourism. There is the report at the end of my packet here that I provided to show some of that information. We'll kind of go through that in my city administrator report. I've got $8,000 in for consultants. That's just has been in there in case the Economic Development Committee all of a sudden halfway through the year, hey, we want to see a housing study. Hey, we want to see this type of study. We need some consulting fees. Hey, we want some design work for this placemaking project. So there's been a modest $8,000 in just for economic development consultants. And we got our money in there for the joint grant writer program. I bumped that up a little bit. I'm assuming we're going to get a raise, so I bumped that up another $500 for now for that. There are some other things that are in this budget. There's some general just miscellaneous budget, and then we also have the fees for the citizen members that we pay for attending the meetings. That's also in this budget. So in general, it's a very modest budget, $49,000. I'm not proposing to modify that budget at this point in time, 2026. If there's any questions on the operating side, I will move into the capital side. Again, we have two opportunities to fund our capital projects. Number one would be in that economic development reserve budget, or as the council knows, we have a capital projects and equipment committee. We could also request some of these funds to be funded through the capital projects and equipments committee. But that budget is also very tight. We start with about $500,000, and some of our vehicles are getting pretty pricey right now. That budget goes pretty quick. So, but it's still something we would put on the docket just so we understand it's there and we don't lose sight of it. So 3 things right now that I've got on our equipment and projects list would be number 1, potentially a cost to relocate the new city welcome sign on Mill Street, Highway T, closer to Highway 15. If you recall, I can bring up the GIS real quick. So let's get on the south side of the city. Near Highway 15 and 45, the intersection down here, there's Frick 4 down the bottom. There is this parcel here that's located on the southeast side of Industrial Loop Road and Mill Street. That parcel right there, the city owns, and the city signs there. I believe in the past I've reported that Benchmark owns this larger parcel, and this smaller parcel here, they removed the old building, their Benchmark office that was here. They are interested in starting to advertise this for sale or build to suit. And at that point in time, I would also make a recommendation to this committee and then ultimately to the council to consider throwing this piece of land in the mix and maybe making this whole stretch here a little bit more attractive for some type of highway commercial development. In that case, we would consider relocating the sign to this corner here in the DOT right away. We did a bunch of research. The DOT does have a permitting process to allow city welcome signs to be located in the right of way. That's just saying that it's available for permit, not saying that we have authorization or it's available yet, but I have researched that, and it looks like there's an opportunity to apply for a permit to have the city sign. And I think it makes much more sense to have it on the intersection down there as people drive by, they see the city sign. It's much more prominent of a intersection than tucked back into by Industrial Loop Road and Mill Street. I do not have a cost for that yet. I'm working with the company to get that cost, but hypothetically, one of the things we could do is sell our property for a modest cost to help fund the cost to move that sign to that other location. So that's one project that is kind of on our list of things to do for economic development projects. Another one would be the Northeast New London Business Center sign. We talked about that last month. I've done research in the past, and I've asked the company to give me some additional information, updated information of what that would be. I don't have them at my fingertips. So I did get a quote in 2022 for a industrial park sign. The sign would be similar, the top of it would be similar and match the city sign that's out front here in the in front of City Hall. But then there was different options about putting different tenant signs within that. The challenge with that is to create the sign big enough so that the tenant sign is large enough that you can see it. Similar to what we just talked about, the sign has to be big enough that if you're driving 55, 60 miles an hour on Highway 45, you see it. You can't have a tenant sign that's 2 foot by 1 foot. You're never gonna see what that message says. So to have the sign big enough that you can see the tenant business name on the sign, it's gonna have to be, 5, 6 feet by 2, 3 feet, big enough. I mean, John knows signs are big. When you look at street signs and stuff, they're bigger than what you think. So you can't have these small signs. And the challenge is, even if we wanted to put a 10 or even 12, 15 tenant sign at that location, that thing gets big pretty quick. For an 18, for an 18 tenant sign, let's say we have 18 tenants that end up in the business park. That thing ends up being like 18 feet wide and 32 feet high. Huge sign. Also, the price tag for something like that in 2022 was $130,000. So we're gonna have to have some more conversations about how we want to design that, if we want to put a sign out there. I think we need something out there near the industrial park on Highway 45 to identify there is an industrial park out there. I think we just gotta kind of figure out what makes sense with that, because if we want to have a sign that has all these different tenants in there, it gets big really quick. So that's another thing I'm working on. And then hotel feasibility study. The cost of a hotel feasibility study that I've gotten is going to be about $20,000. So that would be something that we would have to include in our 2026 budget. If that's a project we want to look at in 2026 to fund and then do. Just as a refresher of that, what that includes is basically hiring a consultant to come in here and see if New London can support another hotel. We don't want to jeopardize the current hotels. We want to make sure that we support our current hotels, but do we have enough usage, whether it's in New London, around New London, Packer games, EAA, people coming to, wherever, in this area, do we have enough usage to justify another hotel? The study would tell us that, and then what that does is we have this study when it's done, and then we give it to the hotels, and then they use it to actually construct the hotels. So one of the main one that we've been talking about, these hotels aren't necessarily corporate owned anymore. They are locally invested investments that own these hotels. So like a Cobblestone or whatever, they'll go out and they'll use this hotel feasibility study to justify the numbers and go around town and look for investors to help fund the construction of a hotel. That's why they need the hotel feasibility study to help them market it. And evidently they can't do the feasibility study on their own. It's a conflict of interest. They need it kind of done on our end. It sounds like it's pretty normal that a municipality does it first, gives it out, and then that's the impetus of them going out and getting the investors for the hotel. So again, hotel feasibility study would be about $20,000 at this point in time.
So I have a question regarding that. the hotel feasibility study being $20,000, would that include doing a conference center feasibility study, or does that not need to be done?
That would not include the conference center. April and I have had some conversations with that. As much as I would love to see that, it sounds like that's a very hard sell. Conference centers are not money makers, and they actually are, they're very hard to justify. When I was talking to several hotels about that, they didn't like the idea of conference centers. Now, I think, I wish we could support that and we could talk about that, but this particularly would just be the hotel side of it. If we want to
Okay.
look at the conference center side, well, we're gonna have to probably add another cost for that part of the study.
I would like to know what the cost for that would be, and I understand that the conference centers are a hard sell. I understand that from, having to try to find them for events that I am tasked with outside of, to set these places up. They are hard to find. A lot of conference centers, a lot of those type of venues, they're either much smaller nowadays, or they have completely gone out of business for whatever reason, because they are a hard sell. But also, to have a good conference center that can host larger events is a draw. They're just not out there. They're hard to find. Any place that can put in 200 to 300 people is really tough to find these days.
I can do some more research on that.
I would just like to know how much that would add to the study cost. I kind of feel like if someone were to build it, they would come.
I'm wondering if we went that route, if the school would be interested in partnering.
Yeah, because it is really difficult to find any place that goes over 120 people. It is difficult to find.
Any other questions on either the operation or capital intentions for 2026? Like I said, I'm still working on getting these costs with the sign company, and I will get an additional cost for what it would be for the hotel/conference center.
And I feel like all three of those are very important. But I feel like the hotel feasibility study needs to be a sooner rather than later. Because if we don't put it in the 2026 budget, are we gonna get it into the 2027 budget? And then by the time it's done, is there, and anybody investing, it's gonna take them time as well. So I feel like by 2026, we'd be lucky to see something in 2030. Lucky, considering how those timelines go. So I feel like that needs to be a higher priority. And I would like to double back on the New London Business Center sign. I did see one as I was traveling, and I wish I could remember where I was. It was in my recent travels as I was driving. They had their business center sign. It was a big sign, and then they flashed electronically the names of the businesses in that center.
And that might be a different option instead of doing, I did find it.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. I would like us to look at that, maybe not for 2026, but do have that as what are we gonna do? Maybe as a 2027, possibly a 2026 capital project, but definitely moving forward on that one in 2027.
If you could sell dynamic signage, that might be more appealing to both people wanting to move into the park, but also the ones that are there now.
Fine.
Because they could advertise that they're hiring, or they could advertise whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So I did finally find a file here. So this was an example of an 18 tenant sign. And you can see pretty quickly as the size of a person, I mean, this example, you need these tenant signs to be big enough so you can see what they are, who they are. And just getting 18 in here makes it pretty big, pretty quick. This is showing it at 32 feet high. That's pretty tall. Whether you maybe go 4 out and 4 up to bring it down a little bit, there's different options, but maybe the electronic sign, instead of doing, static signs, maybe the electronic sign brings that size down quite a bit.
I
And
think it
just
would bring
become-
it down, and I like the idea of them being able to do yeah. I did it. How did you?
Dynamic.
It's called a dynamic sign.
Yeah, no, I like that idea.
And then there's a lot of cost to just implement it, and manage it, but maybe with the dynamic sign for the ones that are in the business park, if they finance, advertisements, open,
Mhm.
looking for employees or whatever, that could be an option too. But typically the static signs are cheaper than an electronic sign, but this gets pretty big pretty quick. So maybe electronic sign
Might be more
makes
feasible.
it down a little bit. So. But that gives you an idea of what. And I mean, how many tenants are we ever going to have in the end? This was an example of 27 tenants, and that thing is, that's 42 feet high. So that's way too big for something that we want out there.
Mhm. You'd never read all of the tenants' names
No.
going by
No.
with that many anyway.
So that's what I got. Any questions?
Thank you for the explanation on the hotel feasibility study and the reasons why we should have.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Hearing no further questions for the budget request, then we will move on to updates and reports, business updates from April.
First update I have to share with you is a new business that just opened, had their grand opening and a ribbon cutting on September 9th, Moonstone Salon, over in the Shadow Street Suites. Christina's done hair for 20 years in the Fox Valley, but is from New London, so has decided to bring her business here. This is the former Outdoorsman's Cuts, and I believe that that area was vacant for some time, which did a really great job doing some really nice, pretty updates. Next is another new business that is coming soon, Low 24. So this is the former Touch and Tan located at 1819 North Shadow Street. So right next to the former pig building, looking to hopefully open on October 1st. She's gonna have some red light therapy in there. And this is the owner of the bottle shop. So Katie's gonna have a dual business in town. So super excited to see this new business come to fruition. I've reported on Coven and Co before, but I drove past on Wednesday and had to stop and take a photo, and I wanted to share with the committee. I think she's done a fantastic job. This is located on Wapaka Street. She's got a series of businesses here that you can see on the sign, but Caitlin's done a really great job. She has an open house coming up here on October 10th, so everyone is invited to check out the new renovations and exterior updates as well. The GIS map tells us that the Piggly Wiggly has changed hands. We know nothing else. We're doing some digging into that. We just know purchase went through on September 9th of 2025. So hopefully more to come on that. Look at that. The Chamber and the City were invited to WFRV Channel 5 Newsmaker Show. It aired on the 21st. It's also going to be pinned online. We were given the opportunity to just share highlights about the City of New London, our revitalization efforts, and our progress. And then, Chad, do you want to share what you shared with me today?
Yeah, so this yesterday morning, Monday, right away, had a call from a developer out of the valley, said that he saw this program and sparked his interest in New London. So he called to see, hey, what's going on there? We had a conversation, and hopefully this sparks some interest for more. And he's a residential developer. Hopefully this kind of sparks some interest in that. So pretty cool that it maybe have highlighted New London in more ways than one.
Yeah, really cool opportunity to get in front of people.
Thank you too for doing that as well.
It was fun. Commercial listing update. The two that I want to note here is the New London Family Diner building, 1601 North Shaw Street, has gone up for sale. The business is not for sale, just the building, at 619.9. And then there was a significant decrease at 307 Smith Street. I think they're down 10,000 now from that original purchase price, down to 189. And then I threw a sold sign up on Touch and Tan. Now that's going to be Glow 24/7. Then I want to give the committee an update on the festival, the weekend festival that we just had a couple of weekends ago. Partnered with the WCEDC to get some Placer AI, there's too many acronyms there. Placer AI information. So on Friday, Wheels on Warner, we had 192 vehicles and 1,300 visitors. And from my understanding is that app updates, or that technology updates as it the apps collect information. So I'm anticipating that number to go up. But I just have some overview photos here to share with you. I found this page really interesting. This is where our post traffic went after we closed down. So I know there was some discussion about pulling Wheels on Warner off of North Water Street and affecting those businesses because we just grew too large for the event down there. But you can see our post traffic is still getting gas at our gas stations, eating at our restaurants, and going downtown to El Tequila, going to Dairy Queen, and checking out McDonald's as well. So on Saturday, another big day. I love this drone footage here that Bruce did. We had 276 vendor spaces filled, so the event just continues to grow. 5,800 visitors, just a fantastic turnout. It was a huge monster of a day. I also found this interesting. This shows just where we're pulling our attendees and our vendors from. We have vendors just driving hours to be a part of the show. And you can see the update from 2024 to 2025, the percentage change in visitors, which I thought was exciting to see. And then I also found this one really interesting because people said, you know, I thought I would just stop and pop in at Fall Fest, but the average stay for people was 89 minutes because it took so long to walk through the entire thing. So I thought that was interesting. Any questions?
I would just like to thank you again, you and your staff. And I talked to you earlier, but I was down and it was absolutely beautiful place to have it.
Thank you.
Well run, organized. Good job.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I had a few downtown businesses reach out in discussion, and they are very welcoming to the event as well, that they've seen a lot more sales that weekend and their stores were filled.
That's really nice to hear, because our intentions are never to hurt our businesses or take business away from any businesses. So it's good to hear.
Not to put Kim on the spot, but did you notice an increase in business on Saturday?
We did notice an increase in business, and sometimes it's people just trying to get away from all of the things that are happening and be there instead, or be able to like stop on their way home or stop there before heading down there. I would say based on like all of the downtown events, we actually have more traffic when it's away from the downtown, because everyone visits the vendors rather than the businesses. It's like, so it actually works out better for us to be away and then for them to be able to travel.
Is that on camera? Is that on camera? That's great.
Hopefully she said it loud enough.
Like you have to work with everything. You have to communicate that that's happening to your people, your followers as well, and then they know to do that.
Okay, do we have any other questions for April? No, okay, moving on then to the city administrator report. Chad.
The first thing I had, we talked about already, the Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission, that Spark program, the workshop, again, a really great workshop, gave us some really cool ideas. We anticipate the consultants will have that cleaned up reports ready for that we can present at our next month meeting. I continue to work with the developers who plan for the Irish Meadows development. That's the 20 parcel development on the east side of town on Alcan Road, north of the East Ridge subdevelopment. We've modified some of the utility easements that would work better for the development, getting the signatures all set up for those easement changes, utility easement changes. And then my next step is to work on developers agreement, just so that the expectations are all set up between what the developer's gonna do, what the city's expectations are, and moving forward with that. So that's one on my project list to do. In your packet, I'm providing a report of the Wapaka County Economic Development Corporations in regarding to their recent marketing efforts. This is what I talked about in my budget about the market, the co-op, marketing co-op that we have. So they provided some information of their recent online marketing information. So it looks like right now they've got about 11,500 different sessions, you know, with their total users, site users. Facebook, they're over 300,000. YouTube, they've got over 800,000 views for this year. I'm not gonna go through this all, but there's some really interesting statistical information about what the county's doing overall to market the county for tourism. We might not see a lot of this marketing because we're not being targeted on their Facebook focuses because we're already here. A lot of these other targeting sessions, I don't know if he's got a map in here. Maybe that first one kind of shows. It shows kind of like the dots where a lot of their focuses are for the marketing. So we don't want to market a lot in the county because we're already here. They're trying to market outside the county to make awareness and bring people in to visit and support our businesses. So just a little bit of information about what the Wapaka County Economic Development Corporation is doing overall for that. That's all I have for my report. Did anybody have any questions?
Okay, hearing none, reviewing the potential agenda items for future meetings. Reviewing an offer to purchase property in the Northeast New London Business Center from Avangrid.
I anticipate, I just met with the attorney today, we had some more conversations. I anticipate we should have something ready to present at next month's meeting.
Okay. So pay attention for those listening and interested in that, pay attention to the agenda for next month.
And just to put it out there, we may go into closed session to talk about our negotiations with this, may not to be determined, but just be prepared. That might be part of the agenda item next month.
That makes sense. Okay. And then the hotel feasibility study, transportation updates, childcare updates, and housing updates.
Chad, do you think we could consider the REF program, bringing that to next month's agenda?
Just 30-second plug on that, what that is.
So we had Mia from the UW Extension come to our revitalization committee and share information on the REV program and how that could kind of complement the Connect Communities program. Basically, it would be a 3-year program where she would kind of sign on and lead us through this program to work with businesses and entrepreneurs and just strengthen our downtown business. It would consist of a leadership, a working group, and whether that's, you know, revitalization takes that on, or someone from economic development wants to come to revitalization, or we create a new committee to be determined, but it's something that I'm really interested in pursuing.
So you're asking for her to come in and present on it?
Correct.
Okay, I'd be up for that.
We'll kind of see how next month's agenda also flows, just because we have Kim, we have maybe of Avangrid.
Yeah, that might be a longer presentation, so maybe November.
Maybe November, maybe that'd be a better one, because then we'll also hopefully have the information back from the Spark program from East Central. We might have a full agenda next month, so. But yes, we definitely want to bring her in because it was very interesting information.
Okay, reviewing the next meeting date would be the 28th of October. Does that work for everyone? I don't currently have a conflict, so. Okay, that's our meeting date for next month. Okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, April and Hans, first and second. All those in favor?
Right?